The anniversary dinner had always been a formality, a tradition bound by appearances and habit. Nathan Carter had always tried to make this night special. Lavish restaurants, expensive gifts, and every time, the hope that maybe, just maybe, the sparkle in Isabella's eyes would return. The same sparkle that had once defined their relationship. But this time, the atmosphere was different. Around the table sat a carefully curated world. Isabella's mother, Nathan's mother, their close friends, business partner Marcus Hayes, and a handful of socialites for whom this dinner was nothing more than another excuse for society gossip. And then, Isabella raised her glass. "I want a change in our relationship," she said, her voice brimming with confidence, as if this were just another casual announcement. "I want us to have an open marriage." A heavy silence fell over the table. Someone slowly placed down their chopsticks. Another cleared their throat awkwardly. Nathan heard the words ring in his ears, but he couldn't move. His eyes remained fixed on Isabella, the woman he had planned his entire life around. "You're joking, right?" His voice was calm, but something inside him was breaking. Isabella smiled at him, as if she knew exactly what she was doing. "No, Nathan, I don't want a boring marriage anymore. I want something new, something exciting." Across the table, Marcus Hayes tried to suppress his smile, but he wasn't very successful. "Open marriage?" Nathan repeated with a cold chuckle. "Or an open affair that's already been happening?" The smug expression on Isabella's face faltered slightly, but she recovered quickly. "I'm just being honest, Nathan. Isn't that what you always say? That we should never hide things from each other? And this is how you decided to be honest?" Nathan exhaled deeply, his gaze shifting to Marcus, who was now absent-mindedly twirling his wine glass. The rest of the table remained frozen, unsure of how to react. Nathan took another slow breath before speaking, his voice lower now, controlled but sharp. "Do you really think I need time to process this? That I'll sit with this thought, weigh my options, and eventually agree with you?" Isabella said nothing, but the arrogance on her face remained. The same arrogance she always carried when she believed she had won the game. But this wasn't just a game. Not this time. When they returned home, not a single word was exchanged. Nathan drove in silence, but his mind kept replaying the evening's events. Why was this happening so suddenly? Or had it never been sudden at all? Had he simply failed to see it coming? The moment they stepped inside, Isabella slipped off her high heels and walked straight to the living room, sinking into the couch. "I knew you wouldn't like it," she said carelessly. Nathan shut the door behind him and turned to face her. "Why?" Isabella lit a cigarette, lowering her gaze. "Because I can't rot in this relationship anymore. I can't keep pretending that I'm satisfied with you." "Satisfied?" Nathan repeated, his voice dangerously calm. "Did you think this marriage was just some kind of satisfaction contract for you?" Blowing out a slow stream of smoke, Isabella locked eyes with him. "Why wouldn't it be? You're always buried in business, in your work. I refuse to be a background character in your life." Nathan was about to respond, but at that moment, his phone buzzed with a text. "Stay cold and controlled, as always, but don't mistake that for weakness. Now it's up to you how you play this game." E.B. Nathan immediately recognized the sender, Eleanor Brooks. "So this really was planned all along?" Nathan thought as he stared at the message. The next morning, the first thing Nathan did upon reaching his office was call Eleanor Brooks. "How did you know?" he asked. A quiet chuckle came from the other end. "Because when people cheat, they follow patterns. Isabella's little game? It's not her first, Nathan. And this isn't just an affair, it's something bigger." Nathan's fingers tapped against the desk. "Then what is it?" "Not just the idea of an open marriage," Eleanor said, her tone turning sharp. "It's a plan to completely destroy you." Nathan's expression remained unreadable, but his hand had turned cold against the phone. "How?" "Give me 2 days," Eleanor replied. I'll get you every answer you need. But remember this. This isn't just personal betrayal. It's a business move. And you, Nathan, you're at the center of it. Nathan set his phone down and stared out of his office window for a long moment. This wasn't just the story of a failing marriage. It was a master plan, a meticulously crafted strategy where every piece had already been placed on the board, except one: Nathan Carter. And now it was up to him to decide how he would play this game. The game begins. Nathan Carter had faced disruptions before, but this one cut deeper than anything he had ever known. He had always sensed Isabella's growing disinterest, but he had never imagined she was playing him like a pawn. Marcus's betrayal stung even more. A man he had built his career with, someone he had once trusted like a brother, was now orchestrating his downfall. But Nathan wasn't going to react. He wasn't going to fall into their trap. Instead, he was going to make them walk straight into his. That night, as he drove home, he didn't say a word. Isabella, too, remained silent, casually scrolling through her phone as if nothing had happened. When they got home, Nathan watched as she kicked off her heels and made her way to the bedroom. She didn't glance at him, didn't care if he followed. He didn't. Instead, he locked himself in his study, took a deep breath, and steadied himself. This was not an emotional war. This was a psychological game, and he was ready to play. The first move. The next morning, as they sat across from each other at the breakfast table, Nathan made his first move. He took a sip of his coffee, exhaling slowly before saying, "I've been thinking about what you said last night, Isabella. Maybe you're right. Maybe we should start seeing things differently." His tone was so calm, so effortless, that Isabella froze for a moment. She set down her toast and looked at him carefully. "Are you saying you agree?" Nathan smiled and nodded. "Yeah, why not? Maybe I need a change too." A flicker of satisfaction crossed Isabella's face. She thought she was winning. What she didn't know was that this was just the beginning. A new strategy. For the rest of the day, Nathan planned his next move. He needed more information. Reacting emotionally wouldn't solve anything. He had to understand the full extent of the game. Which is why, that evening, he decided to meet Eleanor Brooks in person. When he arrived at the bar, Eleanor was already seated, a few files spread in front of her. Nathan didn't waste time. He opened the first file, and what he saw made his blood run cold. Isabella hadn't just betrayed his trust. She had started dismantling his financial empire. The documents revealed that she had been strategically transferring assets, rerouting funds, and creating loopholes that would, within weeks, hand everything over to Marcus Hayes. "This isn't just infidelity, Nathan," Eleanor said, her voice calm but firm. "This is a setup to destroy your entire life." Nathan closed the file and took a slow breath. "I never thought they'd go this far," he admitted, his voice steady but cold. Eleanor studied him. "So, what are you going to do?" A slow smirk played on Nathan's lips, but there was no warmth behind it. "I'm going to play their game." The long con. Over the next few days, Nathan executed his plan. He began acting weaker, making Isabella feel like she was truly in control. He let her believe that he was accepting her idea of an open marriage. He spent more time with her, played along with her manipulations, and let her think she had won. All of it was intentional. She needed to lower her guard. She needed to believe that he was completely under her control. The trap one evening, they attended a high-profile event together. The room was filled with their business associates, high society elites, and of course, Marcus Hayes. Nathan had been waiting for this moment. As they mingled among the crowd, he leaned in toward Isabella and in a soft yet deliberate voice said, "If we're really moving toward an open relationship, maybe I should find someone too, don't you think?" Isabella's head snapped toward him. This wasn't part of her plan. She had thought Nathan would either fight or break, but this move was completely opposite of what she expected. "Are you seriously okay with this?" she asked, feeling a little uneasy. Nathan let out a small chuckle. "Yeah, why not? After all, it was your idea. I should try something new too, right?" Isabella was about to say something, but just then, Marcus walked over and said, "Looks like your relationship is reaching a new level." Nathan looked at him and for the first time saw Marcus from a different perspective. This man wasn't just a cheating friend. He was a predator, waiting to take everything from him. But Nathan was no longer the prey. "Yeah, Marcus," Nathan replied with a small smile. "And the best part about things being open? Nothing stays hidden." Marcus and Isabella exchanged glances. For the first time, there was a flicker of tension on their faces. This was the moment Nathan had been waiting for. Now the next step was to wait for the right time and the right stage to end this game. On the drive home, Isabella watched Nathan carefully. "You've changed," she said softly. Nathan kept his eyes on the road. "Maybe," he replied. But the truth was, he hadn't changed. He had just started showing his true self. And this game wasn't over yet. Nathan Carter was no longer just a betrayed husband. He was now the most dangerous player in the entire game. He had suppressed his emotions, controlled his anger, and decided to turn his weakness into strength. Isabella and Marcus believed that Nathan had either accepted the situation or was slowly stepping out of the game. But they didn't know that they were about to get trapped in their own web. The next morning, when Nathan reached his office, the first thing he did was call Eleanor Brooks. "We don't have much time." His voice was steady but ice cold. "I need everything that can be used against Marcus and Isabella." On the other end, Eleanor took a deep breath. "I'm already working on it. But remember, Nathan, if you're going to fight this battle, you have to end it completely. You don't just need to defeat them, you need to destroy them." Nathan hung up. He was no longer in the mood to show mercy. On the way home, Nathan parked the car and sat still for a moment. He knew that tonight, he had to lay his biggest trap. He knew that Isabella thought he had weakened, that he was now agreeing to everything she wanted. But she didn't know that it was all just a game. When he entered the house, he saw Isabella sitting on the sofa, holding a glass of wine, talking to Marcus on the phone. The moment she saw him, she quickly ended the call and smiled. "How was your day?" she asked. Nathan gave a small smile. "Could have been better." He walked over, sat next to her, and said softly, "I was thinking we should set some rules for this new arrangement. After all, if we're going to have an open marriage, there should be some boundaries, right?" Isabella felt slightly uncomfortable. She hadn't expected Nathan to accept this setup so quickly. "Oh, okay. What are you thinking?" she asked. Nathan took a sip from his glass and said, "First of all, if we're going to have separate lives, I think we should also separate our financial assets." The smile instantly disappeared from Isabella's face. "What?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You mean we should keep our money separate?" Nathan looked straight into her eyes. "Yes, it would make things much cleaner, wouldn't it?" Isabella was now beginning to sense that something was off, but she couldn't let her concern show. She forced a smile and said, "Maybe we should think about this more." Nathan let out a small laugh. "Of course. We should think about everything." Over the next few days, Nathan slowly began putting his plan into action. He transferred all his important documents, bank accounts, and assets to secure locations. He met with his lawyer and made sure Isabella wouldn't be able to take a single part of his wealth. And the biggest move, he started collecting recordings of Marcus and Isabella's secret conversations. With Eleanor Brooks's help, Nathan soon found the ultimate evidence he had been searching for. A recorded meeting between Marcus and Isabella, where they were discussing how they planned to take control of his company, shift all the financial power to Marcus, and legally destabilize Nathan's position. This was the weapon he needed to completely destroy them. Finally, the night Nathan had been waiting for arrived. Isabella and Marcus had invited him to dinner, pretending that everything was normal. But they had no idea that this was about to become the biggest mistake of their lives. As Nathan entered the restaurant, he maintained the same calm expression that had now become his greatest weapon. They ordered food, engaged in small talk, and then, suddenly, Nathan took out his phone and placed it on the table. "So," he said in an icy tone, "you really think I'm that much of a fool?" Isabella and Marcus exchanged glances as if trying to figure out what he meant. Nathan pressed a button, and in an instant, the restaurant filled with the sound of their secret recording. What will Nathan know? He's completely blind. By the time he realizes anything, we'll have taken his company and his money. The entire restaurant fell silent. Isabella's face turned pale. Marcus dropped his fork. Nathan stared at them without blinking. What happened? Nothing to say now? Isabella tried to speak, but no words came out. Her eyes held fear, desperation, and, most of all, regret. Nathan checked his watch, then stood up. Game over. Without looking back, he walked away. Isabella and Marcus were now exposed to the entire world. Nathan had won his battle. But this wasn't just about revenge. It was a message. No one would ever underestimate him again. This wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the end of betrayal. Nathan Carter had won the most dangerous battle of his life. But he knew the game wasn't completely over. Even after exposing Isabella and Marcus publicly, they still had ways to protect themselves. But Nathan had ensured that wasn't an option anymore. He hadn't just humiliated them. He had made sure they would be completely ruined. That night, as Nathan returned to his apartment, he felt a strange sense of calm for the first time in a long while. But deep inside, a lingering unease remained. This wasn't just the satisfaction of victory. There was still one final move left in the game. He placed his phone on the table and pulled a file from his locker. This file belonged to the real mastermind behind everything. Marcus and Isabella were just pawns. The real player was someone else. Eleanor Brooks had already warned him. Isabella wasn't just betraying Nathan. She had been betrayed herself. But by whom? The question kept playing in Nathan's mind. When he opened the file, a name stared back at him. Rebecca Lawrence. Rebecca Lawrence. A high-profile attorney who operated from behind the scenes, manipulating major business deals. She was the one who had convinced Isabella that she could legally destroy Nathan. She had led Isabella to believe that once Nathan's assets were transferred, it would be easy to remove him from the company. But what Isabella didn't know was that Rebecca had her own plan. She was planning to take the money and power for herself. Nathan took a deep breath. "So, the real game is still on," he murmured. The final move. The next day, Nathan decided to meet Rebecca Lawrence. He knew she wasn't an ordinary enemy. She was a woman who knew every legal loophole, who had taken down industry giants. But Nathan wasn't an ordinary target anymore. He understood the game now. When he arrived at Rebecca's office, she was already waiting. Her eyes held confidence, as if she still believed she could win. "I was wondering when you'd come to see me," she said with a smirk. Nathan looked at her, not bothering to return the smile. "What did you tell Isabella?" Rebecca shrugged. "Just the truth. That if she played smart, she could destroy you completely. But she was foolish. She destroyed herself first." Nathan chuckled. "So you thought you could use her?" Rebecca leaned forward, tapping her fingers on the desk. "I simply took advantage of an opportunity. I couldn't sit around assuming Nathan Carter would always win. And now that she's out of the way, the game is still on for me." Nathan pulled up an email on his phone and slid it across the table. "If the game is still on, then I have a surprise for you." Rebecca glanced at the screen, and her face turned pale. "You thought you were the only one who could play dirty?" Nathan's voice was ice cold. I saw through this long ago. Your name is tied to multiple deals with my company. Your law firm processed my financial transactions, and the best part? I have enough evidence to prove you forged legal documents against me. Rebecca tried to regain her composure, but there was a flicker of panic in her voice. You can't put me in jail, Nathan. You know that. I'm still one of the most powerful lawyers in this city. Nathan smiled. I don't need to put you in jail. I just need to destroy you in your own world. He stood up and walked toward the door. Then he paused. Your career is over, Rebecca. Your reputation is shattered. No law firm will hire you. No client will trust you. And when you finally realize that you have nothing left, you'll understand who really won this game. Rebecca opened her mouth to respond, but nothing came out. Nathan walked out and pulled out his phone. Eleanor was already on the line. Is it over? She asked. Nathan exhaled. This wasn't just a victory, it was a lesson. Now no one would ever dare betray him again.